Welcome to MCN, and today we're in Benidorm in Spain riding the Honda CB1000 GT. So this all-new bike is based on the platform of the popular Honda Hornet Naked. The engine's the same, the mainframe's the same, but everything apart from that is completely different, designed to give this the all-round capability that you need with a sports tourer, or more to the point, with a tall rounder. Now, that's a slightly grey area really as to whether Honda call this a sports tourer, but we see it more as a tall rounder because it's capable of doing just about everything that you need it to do. So let's break it down into sections, look at the different elements of the bike and exactly how they've performed today. So at the heart of it, we've got the 1000cc X2017 Fireblade engine, and that pushes out slightly down on horsepower over the Hornet. It's down 7 horsepower on the Hornet SP. Now, I'm going to refer to the Hornet SP because that was the best-selling model in the UK rather than the standard Hornet, and it's more relevant to this bike. So back to the engine. It's down 7 horsepower and it's down a couple of pounds-foot of torque as well, but that doesn't really make too much difference into the way this bike rides. What it does mean, the engine's been remapped just to make it more accessible and to make it a bit more easier to cope with the different aspects that this bike is capable of. So the throttle is just a little bit softer. I've done a lot of miles on the Hornet SP and I found that it was just a little bit lively off the bottom on the throttle, especially in sport mode. And when you're in first gear, second gear, it's a little bit trigger happy. This has been remapped just to make it a bit softer off the bottom end, and that makes the whole bike just that much more manageable. When you're doing low speeds, when you're negotiating tighter turns, there's no jerkiness that was associated with the Hornet. It's really smooth, it winds on really nicely. Now, in terms of power and the way it makes it, it does thump out a thunderous amount of power. It's really not short. It's proper sports bike power that the CB1000 GT pushes out. Nothing else has changed in the engine, the gearing is still the same, and that really plays into this just perfectly. So you've got the Fireblade engine, it's really strong, it's just around 148 horsepower, it's somewhere just below 150 horsepower. There are 4 different engine modes, and that changes how the power is delivered. So you've got sport mode, standard, touring, and rain mode, and they've all got different characteristics of how the power delivery is off the throttle. It's also fitted with the quick shifter as standard. I'm going to come to all the upgrades that this bike's got, all the clever electronic bits, but talking about the engine, it's got the quick shifter, the same as the Hornet SP, and it's smooth changes up and down. It's got the slipper clutch as well, so you can bang down the gears when you're approaching a bend, scrubbing off speed. It comes down through the gears nice and smoothly, and when you're going up, it's a really slick, fluid change up through each gear. Now the engine, because it's been remapped, it's just that bit more tractable. It's that much more easier to cope with. You don't actually notice that there's less oomph because it's got everything that you need. So the engine, pretty much identical to the Hornet, and we know that that's a winner. Now in terms of the frame, the actual main frame is the same, but the rear subframe has been changed to give the bike more strength and stability and of course support for a pillion rider as well. So with the frame being reinforced, that kind of brings us on to the handling of this bike. And this is the real key thing about the CB1000 GT, is how well it handles and the changes over the sharp steering agile Hornet. Now the steering head angle is exactly the same. The changes are, there's a slight difference in trail, because the CB1000 GT has a slightly longer swing arm. The ride height is slightly higher. So as a result, it's got a bit more stability, but it doesn't affect how sharp it handles, how quick it turns. So in terms of handling, we've seen a real improvement with the CB1000 GT. It's got the Shower EERA electronic suspension, and that works in conjunction with a 6-axis IMU and sensors in the fork and the rear shock to control compression and rebound damping in real time. And it works incredibly quickly, 0.015 of a second to actually make those adjustments on the move. It's so fast that you can't even detect it Yet what it does is when we're on the twisty roads and you're on and off the throttle, it keeps the bike beautifully level, wonderfully confident, so that you can tip into turns without it diving too much on the forks. And when you accelerate out, it doesn't sit too much on the shock and squat. It just keeps the whole platform confident and composed, whatever it is you're doing. So when you brake hard, you're off the throttle, it increases the compression on the front end. And when you accelerate hard, it does the same on the rear. The radial calipers have plenty of bite. They give you all the feedback you need, but it's also got lean sensitive ABS too, and lean sensitive traction control. All the various parameters are adjustable to make individual adjustments to the parameters for a user setting. It allows you to have a complete custom user setting as well. All those clever electronics work together fantastically well to make this such a confident bike to ride. So as a touring bike, and to compete as a touring bike, you expect it to have a whole bucket load of creature comforts. And they're certainly not in short supply with the CB1000 GT. So starting front to back, we've got an adjustable screen. That's got 5 positions. It's really easy to adjust. A simple lever on the left-hand side that you can do with one hand. That was actually taken from the cross tour, that mechanism, and it works really well. You can do it on the move, and the screen is effective. As you go through the different positions, it actually changes the angle as well. On the lowest setting, the wind blast is sort of onto your chest and your helmet, so that you're pretty much in that free air. And that's a really comfortable place to be when you're on the twisties. When we're on the highway, in the highest setting, it just sends the air just over the top of your head. It's not perfect. There is a tool screen that actually does it work a lot better, but it is really effective as a standard screen. So moving back from there, looking at the grips, we've got heated grips as standard. We've got cruise control as standard. They're both really simple and easy to operate. And it does come with a set of panniers too. But what's really impressive about the whole package is that it subscribes to Honda's value for money policy, much like the Hornet, the GB350, other bikes in the range. The CB1000 GT is just £11,999. That's only £2,000 more than a Hornet. And for everything you get, it gives you incredible bang for your buck, and it all works incredibly well. So the TFT dash is really clear, really concise. It's really easy to navigate through all the different options using the small joystick on the left-hand switchgear. You've got 3 different looks to it, depending on how you want to view your information. But perhaps most importantly, for a touring bike, it's got full connectivity. So you can have turn-by-turn directions up on the screen. You can also scroll through your different playlists and music, and you can manage your calls as well. One of the really nice premium features of the GT are things like the backlit switchgear. That just adds that nice little premium touch, and also the fact that the indicators are self-cancelling. So as well as all these electronic creature comforts, it's also keyless ignition. So it's got a lovely function on the key fob that if you press it, the bike will tell you where it is by flashing its indicators, which I think is a really nice touch. You do need the flip out key for the panniers and for the fuel tank, but the rest of the time you can just leave it in your pocket, and you've got a simple on off switch on the dash that, providing the key fob's in range, you can turn the bike on and off. So let's just take a minute to look at the bodywork on this bike. The bodywork is very minimal, and that's the key thing about this bike and the Hornet. There's nothing on it that doesn't need to be there. As you can see, it's just a small fairing. It's very purposeful bodywork. It's pointy at the front, tapered at the rear, and it gives it that sharp and aggressive look, but it's functional too. What you can't see side on is that there are air scoops that actually go in behind the fairing and around the tank. Now, these have been tuned by Honda's engineers to make it as slippery as possible, but also to at least create some kind of downforce on the front. And there are various little vanes and other clever little tricks inside those scoops on the fairing that disrupt the airflow and make it as effective as possible as it comes through. The riding position. Haven't actually said too much about the riding position, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. Now, the Hornet actually pitched you forward in the seat. It was quite an aggressive riding position across those wide, naked handlebars. But the seat on the GT is actually a little bit taller, it's more level, and as a result, it's more comfortable, and you end up sitting back, more upright. And the riding position is just perfect for doing distance. You can be in the saddle all day long on this bike, and the ergonomics are absolutely spot on. That triangle between the seat, the foot peg and the handlebar is absolutely spot on. Probably worth saying how much engineering has gone into the vibration and the sound as well as this to minimize any unwanted vibes, and to be honest, there aren't any. But the bike still sounds really good because it's got that Hornet engine. When you get on the gas, it just tickles that little bit inside your ear. Even when you're just sitting there at idle, it's got that lovely raw rasp to it that just underlines the sporty intentions of it, and that's a really nice thing to have. So overall, I've mentioned confidence before, and that's really what this bike gives you. Because it's got the comfort, because the electronic suspension is so capable, it just gives you that overarching feeling of confidence. So when you are on the bends and you are on the twisties, I mentioned about getting the pegs down, it actually took me by surprise, not because I didn't have to lean far to get them down, but because how much confidence the bike gives in the lean, that it actually makes them easy to get them down. And that is just one of those satisfying feelings of just scraping a foot peg. When you're on a long winding bend with loads of visibility, it's really quite satisfying that you can drag the foot peg down through it. So just to give you an idea when you'll actually be able to get your hands on one of these, they actually go on sale in the UK around March, April next year, and delivery will be pretty much not long after. Now, I will just underline the price again because it's worth saying that it actually undercuts all the competition, and significantly so. For just under 12 grand, there's really not much else you can buy that has the performance, the prowess, the agility, and the ability to do serious distances as well. Honda really are onto a winner with the CB1000 GT.